Before we get started on the instructions on how to make your little zine, I'm just going to quickly show you my very first digital attempt at a zine. I promise not to laugh, but I used paint. I don't have Photoshop yet. Oh my gosh, I can really see that I need it. So this is made on an A4 piece of paper. And you fold it and then you cut it and you've got a little mini booklet. It's really great. They're great little publications there, this is using a lot of coloured ink. I probably don't recommend that. And in our weekly activity this week, we're not going to use ink unless you want to. You can, of course. We're just going to draw or collage or paint on ours. So this little one is about just some of the other handmade books that I've made. And I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but just photographs of books that I made. So I was just experimenting with, oh my gosh, I love technology. I'm missing painting, but I'm really loving learning about all of this stuff. So our zine is going to be on self-care. Self-care as an artist in particular, but really this could apply to anybody. You don't have to be an artist. Self-care, what does that mean to you? Each day this week, we've got a word to sort of think about and draw, collage, cartoon, paint, colour, anything that you like that will make you sort of think about this word, meditate on this word for the day. Anyway, so I've got two little examples here. I am really trying hard to not be a perfectionist, but this completely bothers me. So I've actually, in this week's, in Open Heart in the group, I have uploaded two PDFs. One is this blank template, so you don't have to have the lines on it, you can just fold your paper. And the other one is the one with the lines. This is like, if you've never done this before, or if you haven't done it since primary school, you can just fold on the lines and it will remind you where to fold. So the first thing that we're going to do, grab your template and fold in half lengthways. So horizontally. Actually sometimes it might be better to disregard these lines and just get the edges and the corners to meet. Make a crease along the fold, and then I actually like to double fold all of my folds. It definitely makes it easier at the end when the frog mouth thing happens. Unfold your page and now fold the page into the middle, or if you really want to make it even easier for yourself, fold it in half. Yes, it might be better to do that because oh my heavens, you wouldn't believe how long I tried to make this template for. Never mind. Practice process, not perfection. Oh, I can't wait to get Photoshop. Fold it into the middle now. Actually, I may have accidentally printed off my draft. This might be my draft one. So hopefully your template that I'm uploading is a lot better than this one. Never mind. You get the picture. So once you've got to this stage, grab a pair of scissors and you're going to cut down on the dotted line. And then it makes it really easy to pick it up and then, because you've pre-folded all the folds backwards and forwards, it sort of just pops into place. It's pretty easy. Mine's really messy. Damn. Anyway, so that's how you make a zine. So that's the creation part of the template. Now, the next part is thinking about what these words mean to us and how are we going to decorate them or write about them? What symbols do they make us think about? What colours? We'll talk more about that in the next section. So where do you start? How do you start to create something? I don't know how to start my zine, you might be thinking. I'm not sure what to do. Well, what you can see is a collection of just a few things that I've thought I might like to play with today. And it can be anything that you've got. So I've actually got a few, these ones here. I've not used this before, it's fairly new. Well, I haven't used it, I've had it for a while, so I actually hope it still works. And a 0.8 uni pin fine liner. So all three of these are waterproof. So I could use these and then put some watercolour over the top of them. I also have an art line pen, which is not waterproof, so I could use, if I wanted to use the ink to make it bleed into the watercolours. I've got a mechanical pencil, a nice fine one, 0.3 millimetres, and another fine marker, and also just a really cheap, I don't even know where I got this from, a paint pen. So you can just play. I love these, they're so gorgeous. I started with a piece of photocopy paper, and I mean, you can use art paper, you can use watercolour paper, you can use cardboard, you can use anything. You've got cereal box, the inside of a packet of a cereal that you'd put in the recycle. It doesn't matter what you use, it's all about just being creative and using the tools that you've got at hand. This palette here, it's a cheap portable palette that I bought from the news agency, and I've poured my own watercolour paints into this. These are mostly Daniel Smith. I think there's a couple of Schmincke, that one maybe, and the buff titanium, I can't remember, anyway. And I've made myself a map of where the paints are and what they're called and what they look like when I've put it on fairly highly pigmented, and then when I've added a little bit of water or just let it sort of run. So you get a general idea of the effects that the paint can have. I've also made a little colour chart for myself and then extended it on the back. It's just one way of getting to know your colours, getting to know the paints, how they mix in with each other, and also just to remind you, if you're learning and you want to know, if you see a beautiful green of a tree and you think, that's the colour, how do I make that? Aha, this and that green apatite, actually this green apatite, gee, that's a nice colour too, by the way, Daniel Smith. So anyway, I take this to my dad's house, or dad's aged care, when I can get there. I've also actually got a bit of dad's old shirt that I use to wipe my brush on. You might be wondering why I've got 3 baby jars full. You can tell that I've actually had a little play already when I was just seeing what would happen. So I'll show you why. Okay, so we'll start off with some Quin Red, and this is just my play around. Let's see what we can do. If you can hear a strange noise in the background, it's actually my fire going, my slow combustion fire. I didn't realise how noisy it would be. At least there's no motorbikes or lawnmowers today. Right, so we've got this beautiful coloured red, and I now want to go to the yellow. So if I were to just have a quick rinse in there, you can't really tell, but I don't want to contaminate my Hansa yellow light. So sometimes it's a bit time consuming, and then I wipe it onto my rag here. But actually, because I haven't used this, I just need to wet it down a little bit just to doesn't need much. These paints are so lovely. Yeah, so that's why I've got 3 baby food jars, sorry, I should say. Oh, they're the best. All right, so you can have a little play. You don't have to use watercolor paint on your zine. You can use any kind of paint that you want. Let's have a look and see what this does. So I've just started here because, one, what can these things do? It's just like any other marker or pen. What can I do with this? What color does it look like? What marks on paper can I make? If I'm thinking about my words of my zine, so let's have a quick look. Here's our template. Create, confidence, nourish, relax, heal, joy, and self-care. Where do I start? And it doesn't matter where you start. In fact, I actually started with create with just putting colour on the paper. And confidence, I haven't quite finished that. Oh, my light just went out. Sorry about that, you guys. They're supposed to be good ones, never mind. So I cut my lemon in half because I was actually thinking about colour, not so much thinking that lemons give me confidence. But if you bite into a really sour one, maybe, and eat the whole lot, yeah, you'd have to be pretty confident to do that, maybe. It's the colour that I was thinking of. And with the create, it was more the spirals within, or circles within circles. I really just actually wanted to see what my materials could do. So I've skipped a page here. Relax. I bought some beautiful oil-based pencils, and they were just so lovely. The feel of them. Haven't done very much in there yet. Yeah, start with a piece of A4 paper and just put some marks down on paper. So let's see. Let's do one together, shall we? Joy. All right, let's do joy. I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to sit down and think about, I've chosen this beautiful colour. Joy. What do I feel? What do I think about when I feel joy? Bright colours, some beautiful bright colours. Or sometimes I feel a lot of joy in the earthy, in nature. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go with that. I feel my joy returns to me when I'm in nature. And this colour is actually appealing to me. It's a bright, it's an earthy yellow. Quinacridone deep gold. I'm just going to lay down some colour. This can be anything you want it to be. See, it is having a little growl. Oops. What does this colour look like? Honestly, it can just be and explore. Ooh, nice. Now, because I'm not using these watercolors in the traditional way, and in fact, I'm going to use my palette now and put some of that color down here so I can mix it. Because I wouldn't mind mixing it with a little bit of this one. I've used the bottom of, that's really dark, metal biscuit tins. Oh, it's just sinking into this photocopy paper before. And I've spray painted them with a white enamel paint to give me more of a surface to mix my paints on. You can layer them. You can let that dry, come back to something else. In fact, let's do that. Let's go and play with this colour now because it kind of matches. A deep cadmium. So this is a Derwent set of pencils that I have had for a million years. Obviously, you can tell I haven't used them very much. Joy makes me think of the sun. I mean, think of symbols. This is really simplified. Just think of symbols, think of colours, think of shapes, think of lines, textures, patterns, joy that radiates. Use different materials. Hold your pencil in a different way. Be loose. Being joyful makes me feel I'm definitely not tense or tight when I'm feeling joyful. It's a little bit wet to overlap it at the moment. That's a nice colour. What's this colour? So, sunset gold. Gee, I'm really going for these beautiful colours. They're nice. That's a very similar colour to the paint, isn't it? Well, we want a little bit of flowing here. I don't want to be too angular when it comes to joy. You can glue things on. You can use glitter. I'm laughing, having a little giggle because of that. Is it a meme? That Facebook thing, the glitter and COVID? I'm sure you've all seen it. Anyway, I'll just make this really quick so you get the idea. Now just go with what you're drawn to. There's no rhyme or reason to this. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be anything. Just think about colour. Oh, how beautiful. This is such a stunning colour. Rose of ultramarine. In fact, possibly I should be doing this on watercolour paper, but who cares? We're just doing it. Nothing has to be, we don't have to be traditional. So, the idea behind this is actually, so I just do something every day. I mean, it doesn't take long to do a tiny little something, does it? Usually what happens with me, I don't know about you, but usually what happens with me, I start thinking I've just got 10 minutes. Next thing you know, 3 hours has gone by. I do love that. Don't have to stick to the same thing. I'd love to see your creations of what you guys come up with. You don't have to use my template at all. You don't have to use photocopy paper. But you know what? It would be really nice to see what you guys come up with. Maybe put a little bit more thought into what you're doing than what I'm doing, but who cares if you don't? Like, really, the point is to do something. To think about. It's a little bit wild joy. Yeah, well, why not? Let's get some wild joy into our lives, shall we? I really just want to paint at the moment. So what other colours? That's a beautiful colour. Let's just use this beautiful turquoise. I think painting and yoga are really similar. They make me just stop going around in my head so much. Don't think this design's really working as a design. What do you guys feel when you paint or draw or sew? You could stitch things on. You don't have to do this with paper at all. You could do this with calico. Or any fabric, really. You can make books out of anything, or zines. I don't know how maybe if you had fabric stiffener. I haven't tried that. That might be next week's project. Well, interesting, a light's just gone out. That's my little loom cube. They don't last long, do they? They're meant to be really good ones. I think they're quite expensive. Oh well. Not so sure about joy. You know what? If something doesn't work, or if you don't like it, don't chuck it out. Because when that's dry, paint pen, honestly, you can go over anything. And it's not like we've spent a huge deal of money. That's going to be too much. I'm just going to want to go over that blue with our materials, is it? This looks like a beautiful red. So I've totally moved away from the earthy colours, haven't I? Look at that. Wow. You know what? Oops, wrong one. Maybe it's not even about what it looks like. Maybe it's about what it feels like. This feels great. That colour is stunning. So guys, just give yourselves permission. Oops, too much pigment. Give yourselves permission to just not care what something looks like and just do it. Practice the process, not perfection, right? Wow, that red's beautiful. What's that called? Pyrrole Scarlet. Well, Miss Scarlet, I rather like you. Maybe this would be better if you had a, did it really big. Do it really big, you guys. Don't use A4 paper. Oh gosh, that colour's beautiful. I have to show you something. Whoops. Righto, I'll just put this away for a sec. So try not to leave your brush in water. Always clean it, or at least semi-clean it, and just leave it lying flat so that it doesn't ruin the bristles, even though it's a fairly cheap brush. Don't laugh. This is my zine of blind contour self-portraits. So, and that's just using, actually this is a really good size. A2 size, exactly the same thing. And another one is this tiny little one of watercolour. I haven't finished it. I've actually used a page out of an old book. And first of all, I painted it with a Daniel Smith watercolour ground so that then I could put the watercolour paints on it. So that's why it's got that kind of smoky, hazy kind of effect. So yeah, you can use anything, guys. I might stop now because I'll come back and I'll show you this when I've finished it, because I don't really think this is joyful so much as maybe looking a bit like I've had too much coffee. So I will let you know how that goes at the end. I'm probably going to paint over it. You know what? You can put a collage over it. Stick some pictures from the magazine over it. Things that remind you of joy. There are no rules. There's no right. There's no wrong. A zine is all about self-expression. So get out there. Create one. Express yourself. And I'd really, really love to see some pictures of yours. So maybe you could upload them to the Open Heart Facebook group. If you're not yet a member of Open Heart, there's just a few questions to answer to join. So go to Sam Ashley Art Facebook page, and there's a group in there on that page called Open Heart. So it's about being creative. It's not about drawing or painting. It's about anything that's creative. So I'd love to see you there. I'd really love to see what you guys do. All right, I'll pause this for now and go and see what Cedar was barking at, and then come back and finish it. And here we have what is going to be considered finished, the zine that I've been creating. I've probably done more than 10 minutes, but maybe 15 to 20 minutes, maybe. Some's only 10 minutes, for each particular day or concept. So self-care, what does it mean to me? I've written on it, and I've just drawn a picture, and I've used pictures from magazines. So a bit of collage, a bit of writing, and a sketch. The create was watercolor pencils, some paint markers, watercolor paints, and just thinking about what colors do I think of and what symbols and shapes. The confidence was the color of yellow, and I was actually thinking of the solar plexus chakra when I was painting that. Nourish was my lunch, that it's yummy, healthy food, nourishing my body. Relax is some beautiful oil-based coloured pencils that I was experimenting with. I hadn't used them before. They're very soft. It was actually more the feel of what the pencils were like, as well as the sort of hazy, cloudy colours that I thought about when I was thinking about relax. Healing, this was done really quickly. Pictures from magazines. The colours really appeal to me. Pink is the colour of unconditional love, and green is the heart chakra colour. And it's really interesting what does happen when you do a collage really quickly. It's an art therapy technique that I learnt while I was studying art therapy. It's really insightful, actually. I didn't realise how much my heart needs a little bit of tender love and care and some nurture. So yeah, really made me think, that one. And joy, I went over the one I previously did a little bit because I didn't like it as much, and I was thinking this is like the white little dots of the beams of sun like glistening on the water or something. And I purposely left this space blank because when I'm feeling joyful or when I'm laughing and I'm happy, it does feel like there's more time and space. So I'm creating some space to bring more joy into my life. In the last page, I've just written some notes really for myself. It's a pocket full of promises, a daily self-care art and meditation. So, medicine for the soul. Really only takes 10 to 15 minutes a day. And this is just a really good way to get started. If you're not sure, it doesn't have to be a drawing of anything. It can just be colour. It can be shapes. It can be texture, pen, pencil, collage, glue, glitter, crayon, whatever you've got handy. The purpose is just to get you contemplating, put you in a meditative state, relax you, calm you down, and get you creating. So happy creating, my friends. I would love to see what you're doing. If you haven't got the template already, head on over to the Open Heart Facebook group and join and download the PDF document. All right. Much love to you guys. I hope you enjoy this. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what you guys do. Lots of love. Bye.